So I'm sure by now several of you here on YouTube have seen Embree's video, the guy that calls himself Pavarotti, trying to claim that an Amazon search warrant was for Brent Kopaka's apartment. And unfortunately, some other YouTube creators have taken that and ran with it. Yeah, harsh reality, looking at you. And then there's another creator that at least admitted that it wasn't for Kopaka's apartment, but she thinks it's for somebody's residence in Moscow. Yeah, that's also not true. So this is going to be a long one, folks. You can fast forward if you want. You don't have to watch if you don't want. But let's dig in.
Okay, I'll give you some receipts. Sit back and let me receipt away.
Okay, so here we go with some redacted warrants. And we're going to start with this one, because this is a steady progression. And when I'm done with these, whoa. But you'll see this one here, state of Idaho, Indiana, state of Idaho, in and for the county of Latah. And you'll see the case number there doesn't show a case number. It's redacted.
Okay, let's stop right there. It doesn't have a case number there because no suspect had been arrested yet. That CR number, once Kohberger was arrested, started showing up on all of the documents. It's not redacted. There just wasn't a case number yet. Let me show you the warrant close up. And you'll see there on the right, there is no case number. It's not redacted. There just wasn't a state case number yet. But if you look over to the left below where I've highlighted Amazon, you'll see the MPD case number. That's the Moscow police case number because that's what the open investigation was under. And that's what shows up on all of the documents prior to Kohberger's arrest.
Okay, so they've redacted a little bit, but you know, it's weird. I think the first time I looked at this, there was more redactions. I think they've unredacted some things, but I don't know.
There is absolutely nothing redacted on that Amazon warrant. Nothing. And after they've posted those on the Idaho Cases of Interest site, they don't go back and redact a document some more or unredact things. Jay is just blowing crap out his ass.
Because you'll see here, this was the 26th day of November, 2022, and he is filing a search warrant with Amazon. Okay, so this is the day that he files the warrant. And you can see down here where it gets to description of property, what he's looking for from Amazon. So when you file a search warrant, you have to specify what it is that you're wanting them to go through and look for. So he's specifically looking for an ASIN with a serial number.
The number following that is not a serial number. That's the ASIN number, which is Amazon's inventory number. If you go on the Amazon website and type those numbers in, it will bring up those items. Not a serial number.
And then you can see he's looking for that specific sheath for that knife, which is interesting because there's a sheath left at the crime scene, but they're looking hard for a knife and a sheath. So I don't know what to make of that.
I don't know whether to laugh or to cry. He really doesn't understand why they're sending Amazon a warrant about sheaths too. Yes, there was a sheath left at the scene. The warrant to Amazon is to try to determine if one was purchased and when and by who.
Now here's where things start to get interesting. But then on December 8th, I received an email from Amazon which contained the requested information. So when I put on the timeline that on December 8th, the Amazon warrant came back, and I only present the facts on my timeline, that is where I get that from, okay? Now, you can see it continues though. All inventory was prepared for all the items received. An inventory was prepared for all the items received. Now wait just a minute. Wait just a minute. Now it's starting to get a little weird. An inventory was prepared for all the items received. Well, do you prepare an inventory for faxes and emails? Because it says right there, I received an email from Amazon which contained the requested information. You don't prepare an inventory for an email, okay? You prepare an inventory for all the items received, which means the actual items, the physical items, folks.
Poor Pavarotti is getting himself confused again. First of all, it's boilerplate language, and secondly, inventory doesn't always mean physical items. It can be emails, documents received in emails. Let's take a look at the search warrant and all the other search warrants for K-bars where it states this. Okay, here is the page that he's talking about. This is boilerplate. I mean, he fills it in with, of course, his position, Moscow PD and everything like that, but this language about the search warrant and saying inventory was prepared for all items received and the information was placed into evidence at Moscow Police Department, that is boilerplate. And it has to be inventoried. When they put anything that comes back from a search warrant, whether it's an actual physical item or whether it's something received electronically, it is inventoried. And I will show you this on all of the other warrants that they sent out for the K-bars. So this was the one for Blue Ridge knives. There again, inventory was prepared for all items received and the information received was placed into evidence at the Moscow Police Department. Okay, here's the one from the actual K-bar corporation. Same thing. Inventory was prepared for all the items received. Information received was placed into evidence at Moscow Police Department. Here's the one for eBay. All inventory was prepared. Information received was placed into evidence. And finally, here is the one for Walmart. Same thing. All inventory was prepared for all items received, and information received was placed into evidence at the Moscow Police Department. Now, to give you an idea of the information that they were looking for and that would have been coming back, that's right here. It says the record shall include but are not limited to, and it tells you account information about above named individuals or entities. Well, that's boilerplate again because they didn't have a specific person yet. They had no suspect yet, so there was no one to name. Order details and purchase history of all transactions. Payment information for payments of facilitated, Amazon platforms, and all customer interaction records. So they were looking for any sales history of the K-bars and the sheaths with those particular Amazon inventory numbers. And what Amazon was sending back was not physical items like a knife or a sheath. They were sending back documents with who purchased. And maybe they didn't get anything back. I mean, we don't know what they got back, but it would have been an email containing files. So that is what was put into inventory.
Now, what's weird about this one? You see the date down here? This was on December 14th. Okay, so he got this email back from Amazon on December 8th. And he's going through this progression. All right, November 26th, he filed for the search warrant. He got the email back that contained the requested information on December 8th. Then he prepared an inventory for all the items received. And why is he doing all this on December 14th? Did it just take him 6 days to actually go and start documenting things? I don't think so. I think something else happened.
Ah, yes. He's trying to use that December 14th date to tie it to the Kopaka standoff. Except it has nothing to do with it. I'll show you on the other returns that Mowry takes a few days to get everything ready to go back to the judge to show that everything was received. Okay, so this was the one he was talking about. He received it on December 8th, and then it went to the judge on December 14th. So here's the Blue Ridge Knives one. He received that back on December 16th, but it was ready to go to the judge on December 22nd. So that took 6 days also. Here was the one from K-Bar. He got that back on December 2nd. It went to the judge on December 5th. That one only took 3 days, but still, you see a pattern here. Here's the eBay one. He got it back on 11/29. Now, this did go to the judge on 11/30. My guess is that it probably didn't have a lot in the file, so it only took the 1 day. And then here's the one from Walmart. Got it back on the 9th, and it went to the judge on December 14th. So that took 5 days. So obviously, Mowry was not turning those around in the same day and getting them to Judge Marshall. He was taking up to 6 days, more than once. So that has nothing to do with the Kopaka standoff at all. But Jay's still going to try to tie it into that.
Let's take a look. Okay, so when we look at this one's a little bit different. I, Detective Lawrence Mowry, the officer by whom this warrant was executed, do certify the appended inventory contains a true and detailed account of all property taken by me. Now remember, property taken by me, what do you mean? You just got an email from Amazon. Or officers, or other officers, pursuant to this warrant. And that this warrant and property have been duly returned before Judge Megan Marshall at 9:00 a.m. this 14th day of December 2022. This warrant and property have been duly returned. Now this was at 9:00 a.m. on this 14th day of December 2022. I certify under penalty of perjury pursuant to the law, the state of Idaho that's foregoing is true and correct. Now this again was on December 14th, 2022. So what is he talking about? He went out and he actually gathered property, him and other officers pursuant to this warrant?
No, they did not go out and gather physical property. Again, that's boilerplate. That's the wording that's on that. Whether it's an email inventory that they received or whether it was documents that were actually sent to them. They did not receive any knives or sheaths. Let's just refresh again, and you can see it's boilerplate through all of these knife warrants. So you can see here that when these warrants were returned to Megan Marshall, that they all had the exact same boilerplate language.
Very strange. Let's keep going. Okay, now here is the property that, look right here, was found and taken. Right, this isn't an email, this is actual property that was found and taken, and the location within or upon said place and or persons are as follows. Now look over here. The location and persons, they're redacted, so it doesn't tell us that it's Brent Kopaka. We're going to have to figure that out for ourselves, but I think we can pretty easily.
I'm screaming inside, and it's time for alcohol. Because that is just too much. That, again, is boilerplate. It's on all of those warrant return documents. It does not mean that they physically received any items back or that they went anywhere to receive it. Clearly it states in there that Amazon emailed them back. So to then read that boilerplate language and think that something was physically retrieved by the police officers at someone's place. Now, it could have been filled out if they had physically went to the Amazon offices and physically received all the documents, but they didn't. They were all emailed to them. That's why that part is blank. That's not redacted, it's blank. It was never filled in. let me show you. Again, all the other knife warrants, all the ones that went to Blue Ridge, to eBay, to Walmart, etc. They all have that exact same language. So are you trying to tell me that they went out, J. Embree, and picked up knives from 5 different locations and sheaths from 5 different locations? No. Good Lord. Okay, here's the Amazon one that he's showing. And notice that it says that insurance was obtained by Amazon.com. Yeah, they went through their website and received an email. Here's the one for Blue Ridge Knives. Here's the one for K-Bar. Here's the one for eBay. And here's the one for Walmart. Notice how they have the same boilerplate language, and there's nothing redacted. There's nothing listed under location person because they did not physically go anywhere and pick anything up. That also means they did not go into somebody's apartment and do a search warrant under the Amazon warrant.
They're in Kopaka's apartment. Well, they found ASIN number. There you see it. And then underneath that, you see they found a K-Bar full-size U.S. Marine Corps fighting knife. That's interesting. And then they found this K-Bar 1217S, and then that's its number. So this is stuff they actually went into the apartment and they found and they took. Very interesting.
No, 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 no. They did not go in and take that out of his apartment. They did not go in and take those things out of his apartment. It's an Amazon search warrant. Also, here's another little tidbit for you, Jay. Those search warrants were drawn up in Moscow, Latah County. Brent Kopaka lived in Pullman, Washington, Whitman County. Moscow PD, any entity in Latah County, as a matter of fact, can't do a search warrant for somebody's apartment that lives in another state. Or even in another city, honestly. I mean, I guess you could get the county to do it, but it would be impossible for Moscow PD to do a search warrant for somebody's apartment in Pullman, Washington. Use your brain. Use your brain.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking if on...
No, Jay. You don't know what I'm thinking. I can tell you, you don't know what I'm thinking.
Did this search warrant into Kopaka's apartment and they found these items, well then why was Mr. Kopaka not eliminated until, much later that evening, even the early morning of December 15th? Why wouldn't they just have eliminated him right here when they were in his apartment before 9 a.m. on December 14th finding these items? Well, let me show you.
Oh, this ought to be good.
Okay, so right here you'll see this warrant is dated, see right here, December 14th, 2022. Here's the peace officer that, went in and implemented the warrant.
No, that's not a warrant that was signed on December 14th. That was the return of the inventory from the Amazon warrant. That was them entering everything they received back from Amazon on December 14th. That's not a new warrant. It's still the same Amazon warrant.
And they've redacted, the presence of who this was made of and, all this personal information. This is all redacted, but look right here. Isn't this interesting? A copy hereof was left on this date in a conspicuous place in the place searched, there being no person present during said search. So, wow, that's eye-opening. So they went into Kopaka's apartment on December 14th, well before 9 a.m. with a search warrant. They found the K-Bar knives, or the knife in the knife sheath, and he wasn't there. Nobody was there. But a copy of the warrant was left in a conspicuous place in his apartment.
Make it stop. He really wants us to believe that Moscow police drew up a search warrant for Amazon and then took that Amazon warrant over to an apartment in Pullman, Washington. So not Amazon, somebody's apartment. And went in the apartment, took their knives, and just left the warrant laying there. No. And also that's boilerplate language. That appears on all 5 of the warrants that they serve to different companies for knives and sheaths. And it's not redacted. They leave that blank. So if law enforcement had actually physically gone to, let's say, Amazon and got information from someone, they would have filled the part out about physically going. Or if nobody was there when they showed up, they might have filled that out, that, hey, we arrived, nobody was here. It's left blank because that doesn't apply to any of the 5 situations of the knife warrants. Here's the Amazon warrant. Here's the Blue Ridge Knives warrant. Here's the K-Bar warrant. Here's the eBay warrant. And here's the Walmart warrant. Notice they all have that exact same boilerplate language, and none of them were filled out because they didn't physically go to any of the locations.
Kopacka went mental the night of December 14th to the point to where law enforcement unalived him. Well, what could have made him go mental? I don't know. Maybe getting home to his apartment and finding his knives gone and his apartment ransacked, and laying there on the table, he looks at a warrant, a search warrant for his property. So do you think he assumed that he was being implicated at that moment? And that's why he started to freak out? And then later that evening, they went back to his apartment to arrest Mr. Kopacka, or at least take him into custody for questioning. And that's when the standoff ensued, and that's when they unalived Mr. Kopacka. So very, very interesting there, isn't it? Now, how do we know that's a fact? Well,
Okay, that's not a fact. And you can't say it's a fact. Okay. They went there on the evening of the 14th because he was having a mental break. He was a veteran with a traumatic brain injury, with PTSD. He was troubled. I blame our United States government for not taking good enough care of our wounded veterans, but that's for another video. But his roommate, Jordan, called 911. That's why police went there. They weren't going there to arrest him because they found a sheath and a K-bar in his apartment related to the Idaho 4 case. And yes, there was an arrest warrant because they received an emergency arrest warrant during the middle of the standoff. That is protocol during a standoff, to go get an emergency arrest warrant. But yeah, it's not fact that he was tied to the Idaho case.
you see this right here is an order to seal. Okay, so based upon the motion to seal search warrant and related documents filed herein, the court does hereby confirm and order that the affidavit for search warrant, including any exhibits, search warrant, return to search warrant, including the inventory of items seized, and the order are confidential, exempt from disclosure, and they're sealed pursuant to Idaho Court Administrative Rule 32G1 for the reasons stated in said motion and until March 14, 2023, or further order of the court, whichever occurs first. Now, what's important about this? Take a look at this, folks. So ordered this 15th day of December 2022 at 12:04 p.m. in the afternoon. Okay, this is exactly 10 hours after they unalived Kopacka in his apartment. They issue a warrant sealing and redacting everything. So that's why it's so hard to find things on Kopacka, the search warrant for his apartment. It's all been sealed.
First of all, if there was a search warrant for Kopacka's apartment, it would be filed in Washington, not in Idaho. And we know they did obtain an arrest warrant for him during the standoff. So that's filed in Washington. So you saying, oh, that's why it's so hard because everything's sealed. They may be sealed, but they're filed in Washington. Okay? These documents you're referring to, again, were for search warrants with companies. This particular one you keep referring to is from Amazon. And it's sealed on all 5 of the search warrants that they sent to the 5 different companies. And of course, I'm going to show you, because in case J. Embree doesn't believe me, or in case his followers don't believe me, here's all 5 of the search warrants being sealed. Okay, this is the motion to seal the Amazon warrant. And you can see where the judge agreed to seal it. And then you have the motion to seal the Blue Ridge Knives warrant, and the judge agreeing to seal that one. Then you have the motion to seal the K-Bar warrant, and the judge sealing that one. And then the motion to seal the eBay warrant, and the judge sealing that one. And then the motion to seal the Walmart warrant, and the judge sealing that one. And if Jay wants to talk about December 14th, trying to link it to Kopaka, well, guess what? The Walmart warrant was sealed by Judge Marshall on December 14th. So that just tells you that these warrants had nothing to do with Kopaka.
It's right there in our faces. And the dates and the times tell the story. All the other things, back up the story, but the dates and the times tell the story. So if you had any questions whether or not Mr. Kopaka was involved or not, well, that should answer them.
Yeah. Your video was one of the biggest pieces of hogwash that I have seen on this case. And I've seen a lot of hogwash. There are a lot of content creators that have just made crap up from the start. But yours is worse because you're accusing a man who is no longer around to defend himself, who also was a military veteran who had a traumatic brain injury and PTSD. So you're piling on his memory, tarnishing his memory by accusing him of being involved in the crime. Okay? He was not involved in the Idaho 4 case. This crap that you tried to peddle using an Amazon search warrant as proof that he had the knife is bullshit. And I'm calling you out on it. And I know you said in your videos that if somebody makes a video about you, that you'll go after them. That's fine. You don't think I haven't had other creators come after me? That's part of debunking and calling people out, is I know the people that I debunk are going to get mad and come after me. And that's fine. I don't care. Okay? I just want truth and reality in this case. And I don't like content creators that spread bullshit. And also that tarnish the images of innocent people like Brent Kopaka. And especially one that's not here to defend himself. Oh, and also, J. Embree, when you say that CODIS only needs 10 points to run a DNA sample, no, they need 20. So you're not even right about that. So maybe you should educate yourself before you continue to spew crap on your channel. Peace.